From the PEP Radio Newsroom, this is the news blast for this hour. The Boston Herald is reporting that the U.S. Supreme Court is in the home stretch of a term that has lately been dominated by the Trump administration's emergency appeals of lower court orders seeking to slow President Donald Trump's efforts to remake the federal government. But the justices also have 21 cases to resolve that were argued between December and mid-May, including a push by Republican-led states to ban gender-affirming care for transgender minors. One of the argued cases was an emergency appeal. The administration's bid to be allowed to enforce Trump's executive order denying birthright citizenship to U.S.-born children of parents who are in the country illegally. The court typically aims to finish its work by the end of June. The oldest unresolved case, and arguably the term's biggest, stems from a challenge to Tennessee's law from transgender minors and their parents who argue that it is unconstitutional sex discrimination aimed at a vulnerable population. At arguments in December, the court's conservative majority seemed inclined to uphold the law, voicing skepticism of claims that it violates the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. The post-Civil War provision requires the government to treat similarly situated people the same. The court is weighing the case amid a range of other federal and state efforts to regulate the lives of transgender people, including which sports competitions they can join and which bathrooms they can use. In April, Trump's administration sued Maine for not complying with the government's push to ban transgender athletes in girls' sports. The Trump administration also has sought to block federal spending on gender-affirming care for those under 19, and a conservative majority of justices allowed him to move forward with plans to oust transgender people from the U.S. military. Another important case comes from Maryland. Parents in the Montgomery County school system in suburban Washington want to be able to pull their children out of lessons that use the storybooks which the county added to the curriculum to better reflect the district's diversity. The school system at one point allowed parents to remove their children from those lessons, but then reversed course because it found the opt-out policy to be disruptive. Sex education is the only area of instruction with an opt-out provision in the county's schools. The school district introduced the storybooks in 2022 with titles such as Prince and Knight and Uncle Bobby's Wedding. The case is one of several religious rights cases at the court this term. The justices have repeatedly endorsed claims of religious discrimination in recent years. The decision also comes amid increases in recent years in books being banned from public school and public libraries. And then there is this case from Texas. Texas is among more than a dozen states with age verification laws. The states argue the laws are necessary as smartphones have made access to online pornographic material, including hardcore, obscene material, almost instantaneous. The question for the court is whether the measure banning pornographic material access by minors under the age of 18 infringes on the constitutional rights of adults as well. The Free Speech Coalition, adult entertainment industry trade group, agrees that children shouldn't be seeing pornography, but it says the Texas law is written too broadly and wrongly affects adults by requiring them to submit personal identifying information online that is vulnerable to hacking or tracking. The justices appeared open to upholding the law, though they also could return it to a lower court for additional work. Some justices worried the lower court hadn't applied a strict enough legal standard in determining whether the Texas law and others like that could run afoul of the First Amendment. That's the News Blast at this hour. If you are watching our News Blasts on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the PEP Radio channel. Download the Live 365 app to take PEP Radio with you wherever you go. Up next, we have the Meadville area weather forecast here on PEP Radio.